Hi, so it's me, Corrupted-Ciphers again. This is the second part of the Redraw series that I'm doing, where like I take some of the old drawings that I've done that are kind of, let's be honest, crappy in retrospect, and redraw them in my new style, which, depending on your viewpoint, can also be crappy, but you know, I think it's pretty good considering where I started. Anyway. This second one is also Inktober. It was day 5, and the original prompt was extra limbs, so I did this girl with like 4 limbs. Yeah, I didn't really have a specific character in mind. I didn't a lot of the time back when I did Inktober's weird thing for the first time, so yeah, the second time around she's not a specific character either. She's just, I'm gonna be completely honest, I liked the original design. There was just some issues I had with it. Like, I don't know why her chin looks so freaking manly. And yeah, there's some colors that I don't think worked super well together, so I toned them down slightly in this version. Yeah. So I adjusted the pose because, not very much actually, because I actually was okay with this pose for the most part. It was just the waist and the legs looked weird, so that's what I changed. Is I kept all the limbs position and like that, her expression and the umbrella, which looking back on it, I don't think you can hold an umbrella like that, but you know, oops. So I had her sitting on like this little wall thing instead because I thought that looked better than her just standing. It looked less weird. I also adjusted the lower, let's see, that's her right arm, the lower right arm, and I didn't have it in her pocket anymore because that didn't really fit with the new pose, so I just had it kind of off to the side, like planting, I don't know, support on the little bench thing, I don't know. Yeah, her shoulders are a lot broader this time, but I feel like that fits her more. I feel like I just like it. It looks less weird this time. I also got rid of the manly chin, which is always a plus. I kept the trench coat kind of looking aspect, but I gave it buttons because in the original it didn't have those and it looked kind of weird. And I think it looks kind of cute now, and I kept the glasses because I actually thought those were really cute. And I gave her some additional jewelry on her horns and ears because I thought that would be fun. With the glasses, I did consider giving her the third glasses on her third eye. But then I decided I really didn't want to do that and it looked kind of weird, so I decided to just not. I changed the tail position because honestly I forgot about the tail in the sketch. Don't tell anybody. So I just kind of added it back in because I was like, oh, whoopsies, that was a pretty big part of the original design that I liked, so oopsies. Yeah, so that was a mistake. But, you know, that's okay. I also gave her some rings, and I didn't change this. In the original, they were like, the 2 upper limbs had like normal nails, and then the bottom 2 had like claws, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I decided to keep that design in because I kind of liked it. I also threw in a little bottle necklace because I just thought that'd be cute. With the coloring, I kept the color palette mostly the same. The only really big change I made was like changing really just the horns because those are just bright green compared to everything else. And yeah, I think that's really it. I kept a little gradient on her hands, and I decided with the freckles to, instead of covering her entire body with them, to just do her face and her tail because I thought that looked better. I gave the horns a little gradient and the umbrella to make it look a little better, and I lightened the umbrella because it was really dark and just didn't look good. I decided to initially start with soft shading, but I decided it didn't really look the way I wanted it to. Looking back on it, and during this recording, it's not that bad, it's just not the style I wanted, if that makes sense, so I decided to go back to the cell shading. And I used this kind of neutral grayish color for most of the shading because I wanted it to be like... The original had like a rainy, cloudy kind of feel to it, which I've always liked rainy, cloudy things, in complete honesty. So I decided to keep that vibe with like the grayish overtones for the shading. And like just... Yeah, it's reflective because I wanted there to be a fairly bright light source, like from... I wanted her to be sitting on a balcony, like in front of like a doorway to like a building or something, like an apartment balcony or something. So I wanted there to be enough light for it to reflect off her, but at the same time wanted to make the shading kind of grayish. I don't know, that sounds contradictory and confusing. But that's what I did, and it went pretty well. Yeah, this one, honestly, I didn't make a whole lot of changes except for the pose and the background. The background is really probably the biggest adjustment I made other than making her sit down. And what I did for that is, I decided, the original just had like this gray gradient background of like maybe clouds, I don't really know. It was very simple because that was really all I did with backgrounds back then. And so, oh, I just touched my bed, I think it made a noise. Yeah, sorry. For the background, I decided instead, she looks... The trench coat kind of makes me think of like a noir detective kind of thing. Except obviously she's not a noir detective, but I liked that kind of aesthetic, so I decided to go with like the city, like New York. So I actually tried to replicate the New York skyline in the background. It went okay. I've never been great at drawing buildings, but I knew that I'd just be blurring this out because I wanted her to be the main focus and everything else to be like shrouded in like mist and stuff, so I figured it'd be okay if I just did it like this. And yeah, I think it turned out pretty well. I did like the, what's it called? I did just like lineless little things and then just blurred them slightly. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good, honestly, like with the shading and stuff. It's not the best I've ever done, and it's not great, but considering what the original background was, I think it looks great. I also gave lighting to her with like a shading on the outside and like this brighter yellowish light on the middle, because once again I wanted it to be like an open door into like the nighttime. I also decided... I initially started doing like a pattern of like someone opening the door on her glasses, but that ended up looking really, really stupid and bad, so I decided to scrap that and just give it more of like a little light sheen to it. I don't know. Yeah. I tried to keep the whole like bluish, grayish tone in the background and stuff. And I made the buildings glow because, you know, it looks weird if they're not, because it's a city and it's not just dead all the time. So, yeah, and then I added some clouds-ish and, like, some more, like, rain texture. And, like, just, I made the sky a slight gradient because, like, it's light blue going up to black. I don't know, that sounds bad. It's because there's city lights and then, like, it goes up into the night sky. Yeah, I added some fog and some rain, and this is actually the first time I'm playing around with this particular filter. I don't really know what it's called. It's like a water brush filter, so that's what I messed around with, and it looks neat. I'm not sure if it's what I'd use for like every time I draw water from now on, but I do think it looks interesting, so I decided to mess around with it. Normally I like to do things that I already know I can do or know look good during a speed paint or recording thing, but I thought this turned out pretty well for what I did. I gave them puddles. I gave her little puddles off to the side, and I did much more detailed like little rain droplets and like water specks that are falling down from the umbrella and like on her coat and hand, because I thought that would look a lot better than just the random little streaks that I had in the original. And overall, I think it looks way better. This is actually one of my favorite pieces, just because I liked the original at the time. I don't like it now, but, you know. And so it's really fun to see me redraw basically one of my favorite pieces from back then, because I didn't like the first redraw I did in this series, the mermaid. I didn't like the original, but this one I did like the original, so this one was a lot more fun because I got to like use the elements I enjoyed from it. And yeah, I just think it turned out really well, so thanks for joining me. Yeah, see ya. Thanks for watching.